Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is Brave Cat here once again with another Frontier Signals update. So today, well, it's been a pretty intense week. So even though I didn't upload yesterday, it's because everything's been kind of whack. If you haven't noticed, now the only thing that's not whack is how lucky we've been getting with these solar flares and just this sunspot group in general. I mean, to put it basically. And, I just kind of did this little simple Google search here just because whatever, right? It is extremely rare to have, especially this many X-class flares and flares in general, to pretty much not have any sort of coronal mass ejection, at least nothing pointed at Earth, which even, if we go back to this, even when a sunspot group or flare is facing kind of away from Earth as is, like, even if it's not directly facing us, we can have a full halo coronal mass ejection where basically it's just a shotgun blast that goes everywhere. We haven't even had one of those. And the only one that we really did have, again, missed, which is good, but it's like, it's just crazy how completely unaware most people would be, which, no fault to them, really. I mean, to actually get into these kind of sciences as well as just complete observational facts, and just watching this stuff and how it could potentially get bad. Yeah, it's wild. Even, it's a completely unique set of circumstances that has happened. Definitely good news. Definitely good news. And we're not technically out of the woods yet. The sunspot group is still right here. And even though it's been decaying, which is good, basically this section right here is really the only magnetic complexity going on. But, again, we've gotten extremely lucky, and a lot of things have been happening. Even things that I can't even really talk about on YouTube. So, but in terms of the economy, well, that's been absolutely tanking in numerous ways. And I feel like it's pretty much due to pretty much two major factors, and that's probably not even close to all of the factors, but I think two big things that have gone into this is number one, well, the further release of some more of the Epstein files, which this time around, wow, it is extremely condemning and extremely like, wow. And really, you're only going to see the depths of those things here on X. I mean, you're not going to see those things talked about anywhere else, especially not mainstream. But the people are getting very angry at what has come out, and the fact that nobody is being arrested, none of these sick people that are trying to run the world, are obviously being held accountable. It would basically be like asking Batman to arrest Bruce Wayne. The same criminals we want held accountable are the ones that control the system in the first place. So, we're asking the horrible, corrupt system to arrest itself, which obviously that's not going to happen. And that's angering. I mean, that is seriously some pissy ass shit. To put it lightly. And then we have, on the flip side, what's been happening on the sun. And, anyone who knows the potential of something like this occurring and wiping out the entire power grid, yeah, looking at this sunspot group back when it was just over here a few days ago, any scientist, pretty much anyone who had a clue as to what the true potential effects of these solar flares could have been, yeah, it's actually kind of no surprise that all the digital currencies are basically evaporating. All the insider trading is going off at once, the market manipulation, and of course there is more to it than just the two things I mentioned. But those two things were definitely part of the equation when it comes to these rapid drops here, especially silver, gold, and crypto. And then there's been a lot of other kind of cascading things, but that's kind of the base reality is there's been a lot of panic selling, and it has to do with reasons that go beyond what you would think the normal panic selling reasons would be, involving markets that have been relatively stable, especially the precious metals market. That's kind of the big indicator that something absolutely major has been going on. And even though we've been lucky over here on the sun, it doesn't mean there's going to be any sort of balancing in economic or political factors. However, I think it does give us a very good chance at something, because let's say these flares, they did take out the power grids. Let's say that did happen. Well, then all the panic selling would have already happened. All the insiders and parasites in the world would have already had basically everything they need, and there would be no more chance for the common people to rise up and do something about it. So I think, again, I'll keep mentioning it, I think the sun is truly on the side of good. And I think, it literally, in its own way, is conscious, and everything is really. Beyond, and it's hard to think about that because it's like, okay, well, we only know of the human experience and what it's like to be, conscious as a human. So for most people, that's like, they don't think that way because, obviously it's hard to imagine, but we don't know. But one thing is for sure, there is something that is alive in this world beyond us and is rooting for us to win. So I don't know, that's some pretty heavy and mystical bullshit, but I truly believe in the times we're living in, the absolute imperative nature of it, and just kind of the grandiose scale of it. I feel it really intimately, and it's intense. It's exhausting. It's even sickening, like, to actually be willing to look at what's really happening in the world and how this world has really been ran. Oh man, it's like, what the fuck? Ugh, no. But other than that, we've just had some other things kind of going up and down here with the volcanoes and the earthquakes. Obviously, even though we still haven't had a CME, these things are still going to be on the rise because of the X-ray flux and many of the other kind of solar dynamics that come with that. So we've had some new volcano eruptions up here in Alaska and some other places, as well as, these things are still going here. We've got a new 4.6 off of California this time, not Oregon. Now it's down here in California. Still, well, I think the cluster swarm here has kind of slowed down. We've had more deep earthquakes, and all the other spots are getting filled in with 5s and even 6s. So again, I'm just going to keep an eye on things. Now this, there is actually something major going on here. Not actually sure where this is. Alright, so I guess we're kind of looking at the, like, Albania, Greece, whatever else is around here. Not too familiar with these European countries. That's where we see a new kind of cluster going on here. I mean, there has been a ton of all sorts of little tremors, swarms, and even significant earthquakes going on here in Europe, Eastern, kind of Southeast Europe. So I don't know. Just kind of keep an eye on things. Again, it's kind of, you know, I really am starting to wonder why this is the way it is. 'Cause it's like you go from roughly 2,000 earthquakes a year to all of a sudden, oh, there's, you know, just 34,000. Like what? So yeah, I mean, this graph is extremely vague, and it could even be something as simple as like earthquakes coming out of Italy were no longer listed. Like, at least the vast majority of them are no longer listed on some of these other feeds or something. I don't really know. But, you know, it's, again, something that seems important to keep track of. Man, yeah, I don't know. I can't even understate how freaking wild it's been. And it's not going to ease up. I think what we've seen in the past few days regarding everything is really just a catalyst, if nothing else. And not just that. The symptoms of a larger issue going on in societies at large, and things that have been going on for decades, if not hundreds of years, and in some cases, thousands of years. So it's really a lot to take in. It's just a lot of energy and perceptions and knowledge to try to absorb. And it's something that vast majority of people are not even in the slightest bit concerned with. And that's also another part of the heaviness. A lot of the part of kind of feeling totally alone in a lot of these regards, you know? But anyways, that'll about do it. I'll have this website live someday soon. So anyways, hope anyone enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next.